Let's talk about distributing shows at Transistor to the various distribution points across the web. First and foremost, you have your RSS feed right here. If there's a particular distribution point that's not listed on this page, some kind of other podcast app, podcast directory, some other podcast social media site, and you're like, hey, I want to get my podcast over there, but you don't see it on Transistor's list. Anyone who supports RSS feeds, which they'd be crazy not to for podcasting, although, welcome Spotify. You can take your RSS feed, copy it here, and bring it to any other podcast directory you don't see on this list. So if you want to send it somewhere, chances are you'll use your RSS feed link to do that. The good news is Transistor makes it really easy for a lot of these distribution points. Except for Apple, you have to go and create your own Apple Podcast Connect account in order to send it to Apple and distribute it there. But Transistor will verify once everything has been sent over to these points. A little green check mark means it's been sent and verified. And then you'll see here, because I just did this one, Amazon Music and Audible. All I had to do is click it to send it over, and it just says pending approval by Amazon Music. And once that's approved, it'll green light and say, hey, it's there, it's ready to go. And you can see that button, for example, Podchaser. I haven't submitted it there yet because I do want to create a particular account there. But on Listen Notes, I'm just going to click this button, and it's going to send my show to Listen Notes. Now, down here at the bottom, you'll see all of the links as Transistor pulls it in, and that's going to fill out all of the subscription buttons on my website. So, for example, just so we can align it up, all of these options that you see here are all being generated from, if we go back to distribution, scroll to the bottom, are all these links right here. So if for some reason one of these links changes, or for whatever reason somebody's clicking on a link out here and saying, hey, it's not working, I'm not pulling up this particular app, just double check the links here to make sure that they're correct. I mean, you'd have to contact the place of interest, let's say like Good Pods or something, and double check why that link might have changed. But if anyone's ever have any questions about these links not working, you can always check on the distribution page here. And there's a whole bunch to go here. I can get these links and subscribe to them if I want. But all of the distribution points are really easy to set up inside of Transistor. They make it really easy. And this is how you get your Transistor podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all of the other big names of podcast distribution. If you like what you saw in today's video and you want to sign up with Transistor or test it out in the 14-day free trial, go ahead and use the link in the description. If you end up signing up, it helps me earn a little bit, enough to buy a cup of coffee to help support the channel and to help support the podcast setup at thepodcastsetup.com. It's a weekly newsletter for podcasters to discover other podcasters and check out their podcast setup, what microphones they're using, what software they're using, and to learn a little bit more about them as a podcaster, why they started their podcast. You too can sign up and get interviewed for free. Go to the podcast setup and check out the links there. It's free promotion. It's a great way to learn and discover from other podcasters, but to also get your podcast in front of a new audience. Check it out. Free newsletter every week, thepodcastsetup.com.